Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. Now we have 3 sessions after the lunch. So we will start with Dr. Halima Al-Sabbah. Dr. Halima Al-Sabbah is Associate Professor and Senior Public Health Nutrition Specialist at the Public Health Department College of Health Science, Abu Dhabi University. She completed her PhD in Public Health Nutrition in 2008 at the Faculty of Medicine, Ghent University, Belgium. She received a doctor scholarship from the Belgium Technical Collaboration. Dr. Halima had an opportunity for a Fulbright senior visiting scholar and conducted postdoctoral studies in Boston, studies in public health and nutrition at Jane Meyer Human Nutrition Center في Tufts University, Boston, USA. During her post PhD period, she was appointed as the consultant for global food and nutrition in USA. Welcome, Dr. Halima. Welcome, Halima.
Thank you so much for this nice introduction. I hope that you will enjoy my talk today. It's about diabetes, and hope that you are also woke up after the lunch and you will concentrate also in my presentation. So I will start about my introduction about diabetes. So what is the introduction, the significance of the research, because I will talk about several research that I have done before also with my students, and what are the diabetes studies that we have done, the results and the conclusion. So what is diabetes? I think that all of you know what does it mean by diabetes. And I wish that I have the mic with me. So diabetes is known that we don't have maybe insulin production, or the insulin is insufficient, or we have resistance to the insulin, then it is not efficient or it's not working. So no insulin to move also glucose from the blood to the tissues. So the tissues, they starve. So short and long-term complications, this is the most important. The problem is it's not the diabetes itself, but the problem is the complication from diabetes. So diabetes is a metabolic disorder, as all of you also know. It's a chronic disease that affects people also with genetics. Maybe they are risk factors. Obesity is a risk factor. Also, sedentary lifestyle is a risk factor. And what are the symptoms for diabetes? It's feeling thirst, polyuria, polydipsia, blurring vision, and also weight loss. So what are the types of diabetes? We have the well-known 3 types of diabetes. Type 1, that affects also more children and young people. And type 2, it's more for the adults, and it affects the beta cells dysfunction, insulin resistance more. But for type 1, it's completely, there is no insulin to move the glucose from the blood to the tissues. So they need insulin in order to survive. And we have the gestational diabetes, that the beta cell also dysfunction and insulin resistance during the pregnancy. So the So the results from a combination of resistance to insulin action and inadequate also compensatory insulin secretory also response from the cell. So here also the cutoff points when we can diagnose that this person has diabetes, and we have several tests in order to do the diagnosis and the screening test for diabetes. So maybe we can use the fasting plasma glucose test, and the cutoff points to be diabetic is more than or equal 126, or by using also the oral glucose tolerance test, which is the most accurate test. It's the 2 hours after ingestion of 75 grams of glucose, or the hemoglobin A1C. And now most of the labs or most of the physicians also, they are using this test in order to diagnose people with diabetes. And this can be also used for the diabetes management. If the person, for example, manage his or her diabetes during the 3 months, the past 3 months, then it will also give you the results if there is a good management or poor management. Okay, this is also the prevalence of diabetes. It's increasing worldwide, and with this, as mentioned, in both developed and developing countries, and also in among both gender, males and females, and also in UAE and in the Gulf region also, the prevalence rate is increasing because of sedentary lifestyle, technology, also the unhealthy food introduction, and the fast food also, then it increased the prevalence of diabetes. What are the complications? As I mentioned, that the problem is not the diabetes itself. The problem is with the complication. So we have to realize that we have a bad neighbor coming to us, and we have to deal with this bad neighbor. If, for example, treat this neighbor properly, and then it will not hurt us. But if we did not treat this neighbor in good way, then it hurt us, and it can lead to several complications. And these complications can be, for example, kidney disease, eye disease, or limb amputation, or also the cut for the legs and or the foot. So the risk factors for the macrovascular complications are elderly, being a male also, because the prevalence rate among males is more than females, and also lower level of physical activity or inactivity, history of smoking, diagnosis of high cholesterol, and risk factors of microvascular complications, including diabetes diagnosis of also of 10 or more years, because sometimes we have diabetes and we did not know about it. But if we have the risk factors, then we have to screen after, for example, age of 30 or 35 years. Then we have to do the screening test all the time in order to make sure that we don't have the diabetes, because sometimes diabetes is with us for maybe 10 years and we did not know that until we go for other complications, to treat other complications. Then this is the problem. Then we will have late diagnosis, and then it will be also a problem for that person, and less productivity and less quality of life. The problem is in treating the complications or treating the diabetes is to improve the quality of life of that person, and not to live his life also with some of the disabilities. So, patients, so the Glycemic also control HbA1c, as mentioned, that it can also diagnose the person and it can give you an idea about the management during the past 3 months. So the key causes also of morbidity and mortality of type 2 diabetes are microvascular and macrovascular and neurological complications. And also in UAE, as we mentioned, that it is also increasing prevalence. So the poor control, as mentioned, can lead to retinopathy, the eye disease, nephropathy, also of the kidney, and neuropathy, and it can affect also the neurons and the cardiovascular and cerebrovascular disease. So what is the significance for our research or our study? I started working with diabetes since I was working in my master. So because I have family history with my uncle and they cut part of his leg. So then it comes to my mind that I have to work on diabetes. And also when I saw in the hospital several cases, then I think that it is important to work on diabetes. So what I started to do at Oslo University is about diabetes self-management. So I studied diabetes self-management as a master thesis. So the significance of these studies, lifestyle changes, urbanization, socioeconomic development, stress, smoking, food habits also. So these increase the risk for diabetes and other non-communicable diseases. So diabetes complication also, it can be prevented if the glycemic status also of the patients with diabetes is maintained within the normal range. So those with diabetes, they can live a healthy lifestyle and they can live a normal life if they manage their diabetes and if they diagnose their diabetes at the early stage. So therefore, the patient education is critical in controlling the blood glucose level within the normal. So literature review also, they indicate that anthropometric measurements, glycemic control, patient's knowledge, diabetes self-management, they improve the diabetes education. So the importance of diabetes educational intervention in improving self-management patients suffering from diabetes is essential in preventing complications. So the target is to control the diabetes and to manage the diabetes. Therefore, because of that, we have done one of these studies about diabetes education with one of my master students in Palestine a few years ago about diabetes education intervention, how to educate diabetic patients and to control the diabetes. So diabetes complication also can be prevented if the glycemic status of the patients also maintained within normal, and very few feasible studies were done at that time. Also in UAE, we did also with one of my undergraduate students at Zayed University, Moza. She did a study about the prevalence of complications among also diabetic patients. And we have high complications prevalences. So we have the short-term impairment and the long-term impairment for with poor management. So we have 3 studies. Studies are, as I mentioned, the first study was during my master that I did it about diabetes self-management. The second one is with my master students about diabetes education program. And the third one with my undergraduate students from Zayed University is about diabetes complication. So the first study, as mentioned, I did it at Oslo University in Norway, and it was in 2000. And I continue, and I published a book on this research and I continue working on the same research. And here is the framework for diabetes self-management. So what are the elements of the diabetes self-management? Are diet, exercise, smoking, glucose self-monitoring, medication, and also what are the contributing factors that increase or decrease also the diabetes self-management, including the health services, the knowledge and the perception about diabetes, socioeconomic and socio-demographic information, the medical history, all these, they can contribute to diabetes self-management. The other study about diabetes diabetes education, we publish also this research in Q1 journal, Scopus Q1 journal with my students, Osama. And the third study, it was also, this is at An-Najah University when I was working at the medical school in Palestine before coming to UAE. And the objective for that study was measuring the effect of diabetes educational intervention program for patients suffering from type 2 diabetes attending the diabetes clinic in one of the Palestinian. So in this study, we have evaluated the effectiveness of diabetes educational intervention program on diabetes with type 2 diabetes. At that time, Osama was a health educator in the health center, and the manager or the director, he did not appreciate his work. So when he come to me and we discussed the topic, then he said, what I can do for my master thesis. And I said, okay, you can do something that it is related to your work. Then he started to think about the working something about education. Then I asked him if he know about diabetes. Then he said that he has several patients that he follow up with them. That's why also he studied this research, did this research. So the specific objectives here to measure the impact of diabetes educational intervention program on anthropometric measurements, the weight, the body mass index, the waist circumference for type 2 diabetes. Also to measure the impact of the diabetes educational intervention program, and by doing also lab tests, fasting blood sugar, HbA1c, cholesterol, triglycerides for type 2 diabetes, and to measure also the impact of diabetes educational intervention program on type 2 diabetes knowledge and with the related methodology, what we use, how we achieve these objectives, the study design, study population ensemble, and the ethical clearance, and the data collection and analysis. So the study, it was before and after, pre-test and post, before the intervention and after the intervention, after he did the educational program. So the study was carried out through the diabetes clinic in Tulkarem Directorate and based on the educational intervention. So the study is in one of the cities in Palestine. So not about it. The clinic provides services to diabetic patients, includes also 1,109 files, and it was like secondary and then primary data. He collected the information from the records first, who about the patients, and then he follow up with these patients. So the inclusion criteria and the exclusion, patients with type 2 diabetes, males and females, both of them, and they are attending also this clinic. The exclusion not registered in the diabetes clinic or in insulin combined therapy, because we don't want also like confounding factors for this study. The intervention also components, a group-based intervention session about diabetes was conducted by master students as mentioned, and also 4 hours educational intervention session about diabetes. He used also several types of educational materials like flip charts, pamphlets, brochures. I can show you also some of these materials, uh, what he designed and what he did. Also about the intervention program, it's about the pre-test and post-test for the knowledge and for the lab test and for the anthropometric measurement before and after. So these are the educational material that he developed and we reviewed them and then they are adopted by the Ministry of Health. These are the material, brochures, pamphlets, educational material. So the measurements also, he was doing measurements, anthropometric measurements, lab tests also, in order to ensure the accuracy also. A separate blood samples was also drawn and sent to another private lab. It's not only at the Ministry of Health, but also he sent this in order to make sure about the validity, the internal validity and the external validity for the lab test. Here is Osama. He's doing the measurements for the height, weight, and the weight circumference in the clinic. Data analysis, the data were analyzed also by using the SPSS, and we found like significant differences by using paired tests at 95% confidence interval, and also for the categorical variables, we use the chi-square in order to test also the significant difference between categorical variables. Also, as mentioned, we took also the IRB, the Institutional Review Board, the ethical clearance before we started the study. So the official approval was obtained from also the Ministry of Health. And before conducting the interview, we also took the consent from each patient. And that the study is voluntary, and if they can also stop at any point of time, they are not obliged also to us, but the majority they stay with. So the results, the patient's mean age was 51.7, that range between 31 to 70 years, and 41.4 were males and 58.6 were females. So these are the results, as you can see also for the weight, body mass index, silhouette circumference, hip circumference, waist and hip ratio. Most of them, the p-value also, it's more than or it's less than or equal also to 0.05, which is significant for the most of the tests. So in conclusion and recommendation, diabetes education was found to be effective on body mass index, fasting blood glucose, HbA1c, cholesterol, triglyceride, and knowledge. So diabetes education is a cornerstone in the management and the care of diabetes and should be integral part of health planning, improving patients' family, diabetes care also, and community and decision makers in the education process. The third study also, this is with one of my students, as mentioned, at Zayed University. It's about prevalence and complication of complications in type 2 diabetes in Dubai, in three health center, diabetes centers in Dubai, and it is published also in the Arab Journal of Nutrition and Exercise. The main objective was also to identify or to assess the prevalence of complications of type 2 diabetes. The specific objectives to identify the association between the duration, because we took the duration also of diabetes from the onset of the diagnosis and the type of complications, and to identify the association between the HbA1c and the other complications. Okay, they have been informed that so these are also the methodology. What we have done, it is from secondary data from the records, the patients. The methodology also, we talk about 150 patients for this study. So we have also the results for the complications, and the high prevalence was for hyperlipidemia, neuropathy, dyslipidemia, and retinopathy and lethargy. So also we found significant difference in these complications. That's also significant difference for all of them. In conclusion, also the total sample composed of 63.3% of the males and 36.7% of the females, high percentage of overweight, and the dominant type of complications is hyperlipidemia. These are the references, but I want to just to tell you that also during
يعتبر اليوم العالمي للسكري دافع لتوعية الشعب من مخاطر الداء، ويحتفل به في 14 نوفمبر من كل عام. تم تحديد التاريخ من قبل الاتحاد الدولي للسكري ومنظمة الصحة العالمية.
احنا ليش عملنا هذا الايفنت؟ هي مشان تعزيز الصحة والتغذية، وخاصة لمرضى السكري اللي في دبي واللي في خارج الجامعة كمان، وطالبات الجامعة، مشان يشاركوا تبروموت انه الهيلثي لايف ستايل كمان، انه في داخل
واليوم ركزنا على علم فوق الجينات، وعلمناهم أدوات كيف يرمون، يتحكمون ويعيدون برمجة جيناتهم.
Thank you, Dr. Habiba, for informative lecture. So the second lecture in this session under title Obesity and Weighting Loss Surgeries by Miss Romana Khalil. Romana Khalil is a registered dietitian and nutrition expert with obsessive penchant for health and wellness. Upon completing her bachelor nutrition, she decided to future explore her passion and input up her learning impetus with the nutrition dietetics degree from Notre Dame University, Lebanon. Building on her acute knowledge and extensive experience in the food industry and food science and nutrition, she went on to open go light and exclusive nutrition and diet clinic. Welcome, Miss Romana.
First, thank you so much for the introduction. It's such an honor to be invited to speak to all of you today. My presentation is about obesity and weight loss surgeries. It will be quick and simple, I promise. Here we have the table of contents, which is about weight loss surgeries. But to be honest, I didn't want to go over the types, contraindications, complications, or pre and post diets. I would love to focus on statistics, on the prevalence of obesity worldwide and in the Middle East, more specifically in the Arab Gulf countries. Secondly, we'll be moving to bariatric surgeries, the prevalence, the evolution, and types of bariatric surgeries from 2011 till 2020. Third, we will see the impact of obesity on society. And fourth, my vision and my personal perspective to decrease and make the change in the future. Let's go over this slide. It's very important because 650 million adults are obese. The number is huge. 340 million adolescents and 39 million children. More than 1 billion people worldwide are obese. The World Obesity Atlas 2022, published by the World Health Obesity Federation, predicts that 1 billion people globally, which is 1 in 5 women and 1 in 7 men, will be living the obesity by 2030. Based on research conducted by the World Health Organization, the countries of the Gulf region have the highest rate of obesity in the world. We have here 3 actually Gulf countries, but 5 of them are on the list of the top 10 countries worldwide in terms of obesity, which is Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, and Qatar. But Kuwait is affected the worst, with an average of 42.8%, which places it on the top 10 list of the most obese countries in the world. Countries such as Saudi Arabia and Qatar with 35% and 33% obesity rate respectively. Why we have this huge number? Because changes in food consumption trends, such as the consumption of fast food, fatty, and salty processed food, the lack of physical activity, and most of all, urbanization, which have contributed to the increased prevalence of obesity in the Middle East, especially in the high-income oil-producing countries. Over the last 2 decades, there has been an increased consumption of fast foods and sugar-dense beverages. Add to that technological advances, cars, elevators, escalators, and an overall increase in the sedentary lifestyle, and you've got the perfect recipe for obesity. Now we will move to the evolution of bariatric surgeries from 2011 till 2020. Obesity and the corresponding burden of related diseases is a major public health issue worldwide that is currently reaching pandemic proportions. Bariatric surgery, please listen to this, is the only intervention that has been shown to result in substantial and lasting weight loss and a decrease in overall mortality for patients, but only with severe obesity. This is what I believe after working in more than 14 years as a clinical dietitian. Worldwide, nearly 580,000 people undergo bariatric surgery every single year. Here, the table, we're gonna start with the sleeve. In 2020, the number of patients undergoing the sleeve surgery was 4 times more in comparison to 2011. Why sleeve? Because sleeve is the most commonly performed weight loss surgery due to its fewer complications in comparison to gastric bypass and gastric banding. Same increase also applies to the balloon surgery from 700 in 2015 and 2,800 in 2020. Whereas the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass surgery has proven to be a successful weight loss surgery for over the past 30 years, but a significant decrease by more than 25% in 9 years. Why? Because it's considered to be a combination of restrictive and malabsorptive surgery. Whereas the gastric banding also was on the top list of the weight loss surgeries performed back then, had a significant reduction of 95% in 2020. Now, what's the impact of obesity on society? Some people would think that obese patients are not really affecting the economy and society. Why? Because they will undergo any weight loss surgery, mostly from their private insurance or from their own savings. But the truth is that obesity is adding a very high cost on economy and society. Let me explain how. Research to date has identified at least three major categories of economic impact linked with the obesity epidemic in terms of direct medical costs, productivity costs, and human capital costs. In terms of direct medical costs, the overweight, which they have a BMI between 25 and 29, had 37% higher prescription costs and 13% higher primary care costs than the healthy weight group, where the obese with BMI equal or above 30 had 36% higher average annual healthcare costs than the healthy weight group, including 105% higher prescription costs and 39% higher primary care costs. In addition to direct medical costs, a number of more indirect costs are part of the overall economic impact of obesity, such as productivity loss originating in the labor market, which includes absenteeism and presenteeism, absence from work for obesity-related health reasons, and presenteeism is decreased productivity while at work. This is why big companies now ask for blood tests before hiring. When we talk about absenteeism, in some countries, we have research and studies and proofs that the productivity loss due to absenteeism effects amount to a yearly cost of $11.2 million. This amount includes only the direct productivity costs of absenteeism. Why? That the employee is paid while not being at work. It does not account for any secondary effects on training, moral, or other network effects. Whereas the presenteeism, obesity could also contribute to productivity loss when obese individuals are less productive during working hours. They will feel with less energy, tired, less focused. This may occur as a result of physical and mental health conditions that negatively affect productive ability. And sometimes I could feel this when I gain 2 kilos more. So I totally understand the feeling when we have overweight. In terms of a human capital cost, obese individuals in the baseline survey had significantly fewer years of school completed, less than a half year, 0.3 year on average. Likewise, they were less likely to be married, had lower household incomes, and higher rates of poverty. The impact of school attendance on human capital and productivity is likely to operate through its effect on educational attainment. Attendance could also affect productivity via associated parental work absenteeism. This is why we should take care of our children's health, especially when they are children, because it will affect their school days even, and their performance and their education and their future even. What? I'm good? Okay. What is my personal perspective? Awareness is key, but not without combined forces. Working hand in hand to educate, to raise awareness, and to drive the change. This is surely a challenging goal, but a goal which I'm sure we are all determined to achieve. Joining forces to urge better lifestyle choices, less fattening and more nourishing food supplies, acting even before a baby is conceived, which is extremely crucial, and which means providing the right nutrition for pregnant women, working hand in hand as nutritionists, dietitians, with pediatricians, with gynecologists, with oncologists, with bariatric surgeons, with endocrinologists, psychologists, trainers, and cardiologists is the only way to create a radical change in culture in the Middle East. In severe cases of obesity, bariatric surgery can be the only solution to a life-threatening patient's case, but the key is to create awareness about the importance of radical, long-lasting lifestyle changes that combines clean eating, physical activity with mental and emotional health. Thank you. Thank you.
شوية اسمها صعب علي. Thank you, دكتورة رامونة. Welcome. Now we have the online lecture, the third lecture. It will be under title Strength Training for the Obesity by Mr. Abdel Latif Al-Maraghi. Mr. Abdel Latif, personal trainer and founder of Latif Fitness Center, has worked with over 3,000 individuals in Bahrain and with the MEA regions in the past 7 years. His clients range from the professional football player to individuals looking to improve their health and movement, to young teenager and kids just learning to appreciate their health. With the clients list as diverse as his personal training methods, he regularly works with some of the well-known Bahrain national football team players, desiring increased energy and strength. In addition to the first GCC football player to join UEFA Champions League in 2020. Thank you and welcome, Mr. Abdel Latif. He's online, virtual.
Here we go.
Okay. Okay, you're good to go. Thank you.
All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm happy to be here for the second year in a row. Thank you, Dubai. Thank you for the Emirate Nutritional Clinicals Conference for inviting me here. Last year I was on the stage and I was sharing some information. It was a lot of fun. This year, I'm sorry, maybe I'm a little bit busy to be there, but still, I think we can talk, we can learn from each other through online, and that will be a pleasure for me to continue be here again this year. Today's topic, it's like something happening in our regions, maybe in the world for the past 20 to 30 years. We're starting to have a lot of obesity cases, overweight cases, which causes a lot of, let's say, health issue that is affecting our life, our future, and everything. And I'm today a little bit choose this topic to talk about because before it was not easy to recommend strength training while someone is trying to lose weight, because they was thinking that lifting weight is increase the weight as well for the body and it may affect losing the extra weight. But I'm here today just to share information which is let us understand how our bodies, how it's dealing with the lifting weight exercise, resistant exercise, and how it is effective for us to use those kind of exercise to help us reaching our goals of losing our extra weight. So before, I remember my grandfather, he was talking to someone when I was a kid and he was so fat, and and that guy was saying to him that I'm going to a gym and I'm trying to lose weight. So the first recommendation was giving to him, don't lift weight, because lifting weights will make you more heavy. It will makes you delay the weight loss things. So that topic or that information has been there for too long, and still people is still around the place, especially when they go to the traditional, or let's say traditional gyms, when they go and they say to them, don't lift heavy weights or don't take weights. What you have to do is just do cardio training and do walking, do running, do cycle. That will help you to keep the weight away, not to lifting or like resistant training. All right, so let us start the lectures, like learning the benefit of strength training, especially for obese people who suffer or had a lot of extra weight that they need to lose. First thing that we need to know, it's the muscles building in the body make the body burn more metabolically and make more expenditure in the calories burned, like from the workout. The more muscles we have, the more we burn, because the muscles are one of the most expenders tissues in the body. So the more muscles you have, the more weight you lose while you do nothing. This is very important, because most of the times we're not going to train for 24 hours a day. But if my body needs more calories, more energy to function, this is very good for me to lose weight, very good for me to maintain my weight and maintain my health. So gaining muscles, it's one of the effective things that we need to work on, especially when we train and obese persons. That things, it will help a lot to reduce the weight, to push out the weight out of the body, let's say, and to get out of it without gaining it back. Because what kids usually do when people do cardio training, like they go for walking, they go for running, they lose a lot of weight, and at the same time they lose a lot of muscles that makes that weight plus the fat. So while using that weight, losing the muscles, the body gets weaker and doesn't need a lot of, let's say, energy to function. So if they stay in the same food diets while they're losing their muscles, then still it will be very hard to continue losing weight or to maintaining that loss of weight that they got it from the cardio exercise. So we have a very beneficial things when we play or when we train or resistance training to maintain our calorie expenders and increase it by gaining muscles. Studies shows in the past few, let's say 10 years, that full body resistant training is one of the most effective methods that we can use to lose our weight, especially by using a lot of energy in the body. So when we target anaerobic training and anaerobic nervous systems, anaerobic energy systems in our body, we increase post-exercise calorie expenders. What does that mean? When we do resistance training, anaerobic training, it's like we expend a lot of energy after stopping our exercise, our sessions finish. So if I train for 30 minutes, a full body resistance training, my body will keep burning higher numbers of calories in the followed like 2 hours. And some study shows in the followed 24 to 48 hours, more than just doing anaerobic exercise. So this is one of the most effective things to do to lose weight and to reduce the obesity over all the world. The second thing, muscles work when we do many muscles, like when we do full body resistance training, we use a lot of muscles at the same time. That things that help us to lose a lot of calories during these sessions as well. Like if we use the legs, the arms, the core all at the same time, that's fire the nervous system and fire and fire the whole muscles. That will help us to expend a lot, or to lose a lot of, or let's say to use a lot of energy from our body. That will help us to lose a lot of fat, and it will help us to reduce the weight. And the third thing, the body will stay in shape while losing the weight as much as it can. Like most of people, they start to have a lot of loose skins after starting doing anaerobic exercise. They lose weight, yeah, maybe a huge number of kilos, like 30, 40. But first things, and first important, or to say the most problems happens to their body shape. They start to have loose skins in their body, and then they started to hate themselves again. And they said, okay, when I was like overweight, or when I was obese, I wasn't having that issue. My skin was tuned very well, but now I'm having like an empty bag around my skeletons, and I'm walking with that, and I hate that, and then I cannot still wear anything like tied to my body because it shows what I'm going through. Ladies, maybe they hate it because some of the loose skins in the arms, they started to show, and they feel very bad of themselves. So resistant training is one of the things that reduce that loose skins happens, especially while losing weight. If you lose weight, like say, not too fast, by holding your muscles, by building your muscles, that will help a lot to make you looks good, feels good after go through those programs. So full body resistance exercise and training is one of the most effective methods that we need to use for obese and overweight people. How do I start my resistance training? How do I start my strength training? What do I have to do? I know this is something hard. I'm scared to start. I don't know where to go, how to do it. It is very effective, yeah, but I feel like I'm not into that things. First things you need to do, just learning the basic movements. You don't need to lift. You don't need to get heavy weight. You need just to start learning the fundamental, the basics movements, which is just only 5 basics movements. I have wrote them here, so you can like screen capture the screen or just take a photo of it. The first movement is a bend and lift. People who train, they know squat, they do deadlift. Those are movement called in the sport. They call it bend and lift. The second movement is single leg movement. Any kind of exercise that depends on alternative legs, like you use one leg and then the others, like walking lunges, step up on the let's say a box, or on the step as well, side lunges, anything that you use one leg then the other one. The third movement is the push, which helps you to use all the muscles and the front side of your body, or in the anterior side of your body. The fourth movement is the pull, that help you to use all the posterior side of your body. All the muscles are there. And the last one, the rotation movement. So we have 5 basic movements. We need to learn them. It is so easy. If you spend like maybe half an hour, you will complete them all. Then based on those movements, you will lift weights, and then you will learn how to lift weight safely without hurting yourself and getting the benefit out of it. So it's very, very, very simple, but what you need is just to learn how to do that. And I have few videos, actually. I will give you my website. You can go there. There is a free course that teach you how to do those 5 movements from A to Z, and it's also on my social media. You can find it over there. I've explained every single thing that you need to know about that movement, and it will become very easy to demonstrate. So those are the different systems that we use as an energy systems. The things that we need to know, why we're doing system training and why it is effective. If I use more anaerobic, as I said in the beginning, which is an phosphagen system or the glycogen systems, those both systems are increasing the heart too quickly, too high, and using the muscles which are building or having that kind of things that let the muscles become bigger and need more energy to expend to spend. So when we have those kind of muscles, then we can increase our daily intake of food. We can enjoy more food without gaining weight. So what we need to do is just keep our exercise between those windows, 0 to 10 seconds or 0 to 120 or 60 seconds. And this windows is building the muscles, and this windows is anaerobic, and here we can spend a lot of calories that help us to reduce our weight, and also having the things which is the post-exercise expensive or energy expensive, the EPOC. So doing a long walk, a long run, a long cycling, a long swimming, it's not going to help as much as those exercise help. So this is one of most effective things to help the society and our, let's say, people that are suffering from obesity in the past few couples or like decade of years. Okay, so before we start, after leading the movement or before we start the movement, we need to know and assess what's happening inside our body to maintain, to assess and reassess every time and know what's happening there. And the simplest things we can do is just to do some testing, like body composition test analysis, that give us the real weight, the real muscles volume or muscle size of our body, the real fats are there, and the things that we need to get out of it. And the last things, knowing how much calorie do I need per day to eat and how much calorie are my body's burning. That will help us a lot and will let us see the improvements happening there through our exercise and the effective of exercise that's happening in our body. That things can push us a lot to give more and keep going, like to continue exercising until we reach the goals and starting or getting healthy. Those are our sources. A lot of many sources are like a lot of studies have been shown there in the past 10, 15 years that resistance training is one of most effective things that we need to start take care of, not just for obese people, but also for bone health, for movement health, for back pains issues, any chronic pains things. All are those happens because we are getting more weak, we are more inactive, we are like losing our abilities too fast comparing by years ago, like our grandmothers, fathers, those people who have lived to take the to walk like 2 kilometers just to take their waters that they need to drink or just to go to work or the schools. Now is everything around us. By one click and our mobiles, we can get everything comes to us. That things, it's really making life easier, but at the same time, it's affecting our health and body. In the end, we have those kids around us which came to life in a really easy, let's say, way that they can live without movement, without using their muscles, without doing anything, just to get needs. We need to take care of our kids, our futures, and teach them at least to be happy when they go to the gym. Take them with us to go and do exercise. Even it's not in the gym, but we need to really take care of them because they need to understand that this is not, let's say, it is not something that complementary in life. It's something that we need to do for our living on those years, because what's happening around us and what is how's life is going around. So that was my small lecture. Hope it was beneficial, and I'm so happy and glad to be here every time. Hope you and wish you have a having a good afternoon and evening. Thank you so much for listening, and looking forward to be here another year. Thank you so much. مع السلامة, and see you in the Q&A at the end. Thank you.
Us and discussion session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now with the fourth lecture under title The Obesity No More with Mr. Salah Al-Shatti. Mr. Salah Al-Shatti is a fitness and wellness coach who has detected his passion to elevate community and pushing mental boundaries and living their best vision of life. As the owner of Salah Space, with 10 years of knowledge and education experience in the fitness and wellness, Salah developed the unique coaching style that focuses on building a strong foundation of physical and mental wellness. Salah started with small group training in 2013 to go on and open a physical gym, Vitling Fitness Center in 2015 to a bigger vision in Salah Space. Virtual Studio 2021. His work with novice to professional level athletes and special condition clients. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Salah.
Hello, everyone. Just to check the voice, is it clear?
Yes,
Everybody,
we can
this
hear
is
you. Go
Salah
ahead.
Al-Shatti.
Yes.
Okay, good. This is Salah Al-Shatti from Kuwait. Thank you so much for letting me be part of your conference, and it's amazing. And obesity is one of the big subjects here in our region, especially in Kuwait. As we saw, the numbers is really high, and we are leading one of the countries regarding obesity, and hopefully we're gonna work on together just to make this number less and less. So today we'll talk about obesity no more, but let me tell you a little bit about what I do, who's Salah Al-Shatti, just briefly and quick, and the presentation will be very quick for today. So I started as an athlete in 1994. So I'm 1990. So from that time until today, I'm in fitness field and wellness field. I have been specialized in fitness in 2015. In 2012, I started as a mechanical engineering. I finished my engineering and I'm working as a fitness and engineering. So two jobs at the same time. Meanwhile, also I opened a fitness Vitality Fitness Center, and until today I specialize in wellness coaching. I become a Lulun ambassador for Kuwait, and last year I specialized in functional aging, and this year I'm trying to study nutrition and nutritionist coaching. Just briefly, one of the biggest reason I can say, like top 3 reason I started this journey is that because of the obesity in my country. Unfortunately, that Kuwait needs a lot of help of coaches to support the health sector in order to make people more active and motivation toward their health. So that's one of my biggest reasons to start training and being a fitness coach in this field. So today we'll talk about why obesity and how we see obesity, and no more obese strategy, and what's the strategy we'll talk about. So let me tell you background what I have been. So since 2013 until today, 10 years of experience in the field. In 2017, we did in the Vitality Fitness Center a biggest challenge. Here we collaborate with one of the biggest companies, big banks, National NBK, National Bank of Kuwait, and we did like let's say a big challenge, like Biggest Loser challenge, but we changed the concept. It's based on our concept, and we work as a team, me as a fitness, and we have a dietitian, and we have a physiotherapist to help the overweight people for their employees. In 2020-21, I started personally with a new group, but was virtually with Dr. Hamdi. He's one of the best doctors in the world. He works in Harvard University, and we did a very nice program to help people to get out of their insulin level and make it better and lose some weight. And last year I did a Better You program based on all of the experience I had, based on the science, just to help the obese people. So today we will talk about some of the 10 years experience in a quick way. So here is Haya. So basically, this is was a part of me and Haya doing the Better You program. And as you can see, Haya, she's one of the female. She was suffering from obesity for a long time ago. She's 35 years old, and she had many complications in obesity. So she's been up and down for a long time. And one day I said with Haya, and I said, listen, girl, we need to do something together. I have a nice program. Let's do it together, and I will help you with your journey. And as you can see, we just use this mat and we use a weight training. I will tell you more about the strategy that I use for this program just to help Haya to make it active. So the program, now let's talk about why obese. And this is a question, guys, this is for you. And I want you to think about which one is more risky for someone if he's obese or he is lack of activity. So what do you think more is risky in health-wise condition I'm talking about? So if someone is obese, that doesn't mean health-wise he is in risk, or if someone has a sedentary lifestyle and he is in risk. So sometimes we see people as obese and we say, oh, you need to lose weight, you need to do something, you need to do something with your dietitian or do a surgery, and we can listen this topic here, and especially in my country. And meanwhile, people are forgetting the main thing, which is lack of activity. And the biggest risk, what I can see, is that when someone obese and he have lack of activity, this is, I can see, is one of the biggest risky for his condition. So if we see obese, we don't. Well, that doesn't mean he's not healthy. If we see anyone obese, that doesn't mean he is, let's say, in bad condition. So obesity is about BMI. BMI, which is everybody knows the weight and the height together, and give me the numbers. And if somebody is above 30, he is obese. And as we know, this equation is based on only the weight and the height. It doesn't include any kind of, let's say, muscles, fat, mental strength, and also fitness level. So this number will give me just exactly what's my weight comparing to my height, and that's the only thing people can consider themselves as obese or not. So from this equation, I see a lack of information about people, especially comparing to their health. They should go for more questions and more questions about how we can consider someone is obese. And if someone is obese, that doesn't mean he is risk. Doesn't mean that he need to lose weight, or that mean we can see another thing. Personally, for me, what I want to see, now let's see together if we see someone obese. So now let's see how people see the obese. If somebody in the airplane and there's someone obese next to you, what do you think about it? How you will see it? Will you think like, oh, he needs to lose the weight, he's taking out of seats, and we can see this in our head, he needs help. So the first step is that how we as professionals see the obese people, client, patient, and they are part of our community. So this is number one. This is just like open your mind. I want you to think about it. And now let's see how obese see themselves. What do you think about themselves? Did somebody ask them, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself like with weight, in weight, or you see yourself in function? As you can see from this picture, she is one of the girls like a split, and this is one of the more flexibility that doesn't, and she's absolutely overweight or obese, and that doesn't mean she's unhealthy, or that doesn't mean she's healthy. So how we can see the obese people? Are we seeing the size? Are we seeing the shape? Or are we seeing the function of the body? Or are we seeing the heart of the heart function? Or are we seeing the muscle function? This is how we need to see people. And now I will tell you how I see obese, how I see the people when they are obese. The first step, I can see them. This is how we should see the obese. you can see all of these are athlete Olympics, people who are participating in the biggest and the largest competition in the sport, in the worldwide, and it's happened every 4 years. As you can see, these people are obese. I can see people are overweight, and they are lifting weight, they are participating, they are functioning, they are playing, and that means they are healthy or unhealthy. That's a big question for us. So do they need BMI numbers, or that they are in high risk? So these kind of questions, we need to open our eyes a little bit. So for me personally, when I see somebody obese or which categories, so I don't see he need to be a thin or losing weight. I can see he need to be participating in something he likes it and he's enjoying. That's where I started the strategy for the Better You. So Better You program was designed to work in people's best version and to make them happy, living better in daily life and enjoying their movement. And they have a great mindset toward themselves and life as well. So the program was virtually, and we did it together, me and Haya, and you can see Haya smile after this workout. It was really, really fun. So the program, I'll tell you more about it. We did a 3-month season together. So I will tell you exactly what strategy I took on this program. So first, so I was working in 5 steps, let's say 5 pillars. And this is the strategy of no more peace. I'm going to tell you more about it. So the first thing is that I said to her, Haya, and I tell her, Haya, listen, we need to find the purpose for you before we start anything. If your purpose was just losing weight, and you need to ask them why you want to lose weight, and until I found with Haya, and it's documented, Haya, she mentioned that I want to lose weight just to do. You cannot imagine what was the answer. She want to lose weight just to join and to play a roller coaster, and she can live it the bit and without having extra, or because one of the accidents she had in her life or event, she was trying to join one of the roller coaster in I don't know which countries, and she couldn't because of the weight, the belt's not closing, and second dream was for her is that she want to jump from airplane and she want to enjoy the view from the sky. So I say, listen, that's the thing that we need to work on. We will not work on any kind of weight measurement and checking your numbers and being in this struggle. If we focus on the biggest purpose in your life, the weight, the fat, the health condition, it will come by default without focusing on it. Let's focus on to reach your goal. Let's focus and finish, and we need to put a plan, and we need a team with it. So that was the first step. We did it together. So purpose is the most important thing, and make it sure that if you are obese, that doesn't mean that you cannot move. If you are obese, that doesn't mean you cannot do any lifting or any kind of sport. You need to use the picture that I just showed to you guys. That's obese people, and that's what they do with their body. Second thing, staying active. And staying active, we are focusing on the NEAT, non-exercise thermogenesis. That's the part of the non-exercise. So the focus was with Haya and any kind of obese people is that the time after the workout. So let's say if for us, we work 30 minutes. And let's say we chat 30 minutes, 15, before 15, after. Let's say we take 1 hour in our gym, and 23 hours is outside your gym. And that's what the game, how to make the change in the 23 hours. The plan is with the NEAT, and you can see from the chart, if someone has a high active, his NEAT level will be higher than someone is low active. And the more we are active, the more calories you will burn, the more your metabolism will be engaged, and the more you will be feeling functional. And of course, you're going to have a big result on your fat metabolism. Because the focus here is about fat, it's not about the weight, as everybody knows. So Haya was focusing, and let's say me and Haya we were focusing on making her active the whole time. So that time we decided to find the best time that she can walk and she can be active. So the first thing we did together, we analyzed her lifestyle, and we can see how many steps she's walking during the day, and we put a target. And we make sure that when we put a target for anyone in obese and he wants to start let's say a journey of being active extra his gym, make sure that the way we mention it is very fun way, is very happy way, because if they join any activity instead of the gym, we need to make sure that it's related to the biggest purpose, so that it's better to join any activity, or she can have being more active in any kind of way she loves, because this is so personal and let's say to find the purpose itself, and it's related. And of course, being active and staying active is exercise and lifting weight. As you know, Latif just mentioned about the benefit of strength training for obese people, and this is one of the biggest benefits, not only in physical part, it's also on mental part. It will gain the trust, it will be more confident. And I remember with Haya, after every week I sit with Haya and I ask her a lot of questions, and it was gradually, honestly, I was not asking a lot of questions and sitting together. I was making her more comfortable and feeling light with me. She was mentioning the first step, how do you feel? And she answered that I feel confident, I feel happy, I feel me. And this what have been gaining every week with every class. I feel me, I feel me. And we can repeat it this, and this gaining is become from the strength training. So third part, we were focusing about the eating mindfully. So with Haya, we were with one of the dietitians we worked on, and the focus was about eating mindfully instead of eating calories. The strategy was taking about not eating the numbers, it's about eating the ingredients, it's about eating the fuel that you need and your body needs. It helps your purpose, which great, because I can essentially see here the two numbers of calories, donuts and the grilled chicken. They are almost the same, but we can see the difference on sugar and carb and fat, and which one more benefit for the health overall. So the focus was about eating mindfully, and in the beginning, we were not focusing on the food. The plan was stay away from focusing on the food, because I wanted to enjoy what you want. I wanted to just stay active at the beginning, and then we can change everything. So the change was step by step, and we every 2 weeks to 3 weeks we sat together and we try to change some of the stuff. Keep in mind, before I go to the system and the process, when I mentioned that week by week or 2 weeks, there is nothing in this journey was linear. It was always up and down in every way. So based on my experience with all the obese people I work with, or any client, any people who's looking for a result, it will never be linear. It will goes up and down until we reach the point, and that's normal of the process. So in our system, we did a 6-month season, and the season was focusing about a program in the bachelor. So it's about foundation, walking, and stretching. So that's the beginning of the program for any obese who want to start, and he don't have or she don't have any kind of experience in fitness. So the first thing is to do is building the foundation through just moving the joint and walking around and doing stretching. And as you know, stretching will help the muscles, will have the strength to develop around the joint. So the season started in season 1, and we were focusing about 5 days. And the strategy was taken from the guideline that people they need to do 2 days lifting and 150 of aerobic training. So we were focusing on 2 things: the anaerobic training and aerobic training. The aerobic training is where the heart rate will goes up, and the recommendation where is 150 minutes per week minimum. So, but that doesn't mean 30 minutes per week. So as a beginning, we cannot push the client that level. So in the season 1, we were doing 30 minutes each class, about 5 classes, each class is 30. We did 1 strength, and the strength was really, really low. It's about 40 to 50% of 1 RM. So it was very low light, just to move the joint and make the obese who's training more confident, and he's feeling he's lifting, and that we will build their mindset for the future that you need to lift some weight, we need to build your muscles, we need to increase your metabolism, and that will help you. So we start with 1 session for strength, 1 session for stretching, and 2 sessions was about body weight, and last session was about interval weight or walking. So the walking was little bit, I cannot say it's a high intensity. It was just like walk fast, walk slow, walk fast, walk slow for their joint, for their aerobic capacity. The season 2, we add more extra, and the season 3, we focus more about jogging slightly And as you can see, we did extra session in season 4 and 5 and 6. So that's what the system. So if any OPs who want to start any journey, he needs to focus that, and he needs to understand that it's a system and it's a process and it will take time. Here we can see here one of the sessions that I believe it was season 3. We will start jogging. Good. So that's what about this the Better You program. So lastly, here is one of the picture with Haya. It was in our camp after the, let's say we finished 4 months together, and we did as a SaaS space a camp last year, and Haya was joining, and in the camp we have a running session, and I was super proud of this girl. She was running with us the whole time with non-stop, and if she feels it, she walks, and she did an amazing job. And you can see Hey, she's performing. So what I want to see you guys now, from my biggest message for anyone who's listening to this presentation, is that no more OPs. If we see any OPs, that doesn't mean they cannot do. We need to see active body. We need to see a calm mind and a heart full of love. That's what we need to see in any human without seeing the weight itself. So thank you so much for listening. And lastly, that's my Instagram, that's my email. Please contact me if you need any extra information. And I'm always saying to people, we live inside a body full of daily challenges, the challenges that bring our best or even our worst daily. Therefore, it's in our hand to deal with these challenges to bring our best life and better. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Salah, for that very interesting presentation. As well, I would like to thank Mr. Latif also for joining us both virtually. We are kind of running short on time, so we will be skipping the Q&A session.